Today on Investigate TV Plus, a family fights to hold on to their land as a railroad looks to slice through their farm.
It's my property. You know, you don't have the right to take.
Why they claim the seizure for a new route is breaking the law.
The railroad's position is just that I'm a railroad. Obviously, I'm going to benefit you, and that's just not enough.
And we uncover how similar cases can disproportionately impact communities of color.
Plus, concerned 911 callers alert police about young children at busy intersections.
I'm just concerned that they don't have food and money and place to live.
We investigate when law enforcement and child services can step in when kids are involved.
Then, from isolation to advocate for mental health.
I can love others and make a difference in the world around me.
One woman uses her struggle with depression to educate others about a treatment option she says helped her go from merely surviving to thriving.
In-depth stories that inform and inspire. You're watching Investigate TV Plus.
Imagine someone taking your home or property against your will just because the government says they can. It's a legal process called eminent domain, and it's happened across the country. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. For some people forced to sell, it isn't just about losing land, but losing a piece of their legacy. That's why property owners in Georgia are taking a private railroad company to court. A state commission granted the company permission to take part of the family's land for a new train route. But that family claims the company lacks a justifiable reason under Georgia law.
Investigative reporter Sierra Cummings takes an in-depth look at how property owners could be paying the price for what some call progress.
Okay.
Driving across their nearly 600 acres
Yeah, you can see a lot of the trees over there. You see the tops of them.
never gets old for Blaine and Diane Smith. The history just as rich as the timber crops they've been farming.
We used to go down there. It's a special rock that we like to sit on.
Blaine's enslaved ancestors lived and worked on this Sparta land. Now, he and his wife own the very property. The family among the less than 2% of black farmers nationwide.
My father farmed this land almost all of his life. My grandfather farmed it most of his life. He bought it back in the 1920s. During that time, he raised cotton, corn, peas, all kinds of vegetables. But it's still in the Smith family. Not one piece of it has gotten away.
Until state leaders decided parts of the Sparta land are no longer theirs.
It's my property. You know, you don't have the right to take.
But a private company does have the right to take it, according to the unanimous vote from the Georgia Public Service Commission. The agency, comprised of 5 elected officials, oversees eminent domain. Eminent domain, the right of a government or its agent to appropriate private property for public use with payment of compensation. In Georgia, the process starts by first condemning the site. The Georgia PSC members agreed private company Sandersville Railroad could legally condemn 9 properties in Sparta, including parts of the Smiths, for the company's Hanson Spur project, a 4.5-mile spur connecting raw material producers to the CSX rail line in Hancock County. Essentially, hauling rocks that be used to build concrete. The company argues the train project will improve infrastructure. But the Smiths feel railroaded.
If you listen to the railroad folks, they say you're keeping your land. We just taking a little piece of it. To me, we've got somebody who's coming through it like they are. They're devaluing it. They're defacing it. They're creating hazards through it.
They are just one of at least a dozen local eminent domain cases in recent years, from Atlanta to Newton County. A 2007 study revealed when eminent domain was used for private development, it most often impacted areas where more than half of the community was made up of people of color. Nearly half of the area's population sat below the poverty line. In the city of Sparta, where the developers are building the railroad, census records show 51% of residents live in poverty, the median income at $22,000.
We're here in a county that really needs new opportunities, new job growth, new tax base.
The railroad company president, Ben Tarbutton.
Have an annual impact of $1.5 million.
Dollars that could make sense for a struggling town. It's how the company has pitched the project to residents. However, Georgia law states economic development is not a justifiable reason to take property.
It really is not supposed to be factored into an eminent domain case.
Well, they go hand in hand. I talk about jobs because that's what really matters to folks.
Tarbutton says the train would only travel one round trip per day, 5 days a week during daylight hours, that it would not be a nuisance to landowners.
They feel like you guys are robbing them of their family legacy, of their family land.
Well, you know, I understand that, and it's the condemnation process is a last resort. We have had multiple conversations with the landowners.
While several other property owners made deals with the company, 3 families are holding out, including the Smiths, in part over fears if they give up land now, the company could take even more.
Would you guys come back and take more land?
Well, I don't know exactly who you're talking to, but everyone I've dealt with that's a landowner, we've had very constructive dialogue.
So would you take more land if you needed it?
No, we're very clear.
A claim the Smiths don't believe.
Because when they come and take that property, it's gone forever.
It's why the Institute for Justice now represents the families against the railroad.
The railroad's position is just that I'm a railroad. Obviously, I'm going to benefit you, and that's just not enough.
The attorney filed this appeal in Fulton County Superior Court, alleging the PSC improperly granted Sandersville's petition that the project is not economically feasible and may not be a legitimate public use.
What the railroad has shown is that this track, if it even comes about, is going to promote the profits and the cost reductions for a couple of private companies, and that's all.
The Institute for Justice is using this as a money-making venture for themselves.
Hundreds of acres for 100 years and one single lineage. Altering it in any way is a price of progress that's just too high for the Smiths.
I go back to what my father said, keep the land. The land gives you respect, gives you respectability. Everybody around here knows that this is the Smith land down here.
In February of 2025, a Fulton County Superior Court judge upheld a ruling granting the railroad company power to take the land, but prevented construction while the appeals process is ongoing.
The Georgia law that says economic development cannot be a reason to seize private property stems from a 2005 Supreme Court decision, Kelo v. New London, Connecticut. The court ruled against homeowners who are trying to protect their neighborhood from being bulldozed for a new private development.
According to the Institute for Justice, the decision sparked a majority of states to create local protections.
Still to come, panhandlers bring their children close to traffic.
We have to make sure she's okay. You guys are adults. She's a baby.
We investigate if anything can be done to help protect these families.
Then later,
I mean, look at the size of these apple juices. That wouldn't get too far for a family, but they're just right for a kid.
A volunteer at Alaska's busiest food bank discovers unpacking boxes can also uncover a path to healing.
You can watch Investigate TV Plus anytime streaming online. Get the app for Roku, Amazon Fire TV, and Apple TV. They're free to download. It's a scene that plays out on city streets across America, people soliciting for money in public places.
Also known as panhandling, it's considered a form of free speech and therefore protected by the First Amendment. It often takes place on busy roads, and some drivers in Tennessee have raised concerns after spotting panhandlers with young children. Police in Nashville are dealing with the issue and say it's risky behavior but doesn't always qualify as abuse or neglect.
Reporter Amanda Hara takes us there and gets insight into when state agencies say they can get involved.
On a Monday afternoon, when most kids are at school or in daycare, this little girl finds herself in a dangerous situation. The 2-year-old is standing along the I-40 West off-ramp at White Bridge Road.
What's your child's name?
And she's just feet away from multiple lanes of traffic exiting the interstate.
It is a dangerous situation for her to be on the road.
And listen to what else he tells the 2 adults who are with that little girl.
Because you have your 2-year-old with you guys out here while you guys are panhandling, that is a big no-no. She could run inside the street and she can get hit.
They're panhandling with small kids in tow. And as our cameras captured, they're not the only ones. We found another pair of adults with a small child. And again, they are just feet away from multiple lanes of traffic. Here's another example. A woman holding a baby close to cars, driving off 440 at Hillsborough Pike, while a man panhandles nearby.
911, what is the location of your emergency?
And it's not just in Nashville. Listen as a woman calls 911 in Murfreesboro to report a similar situation.
Then there's a man right there, and it looks to be like with a blanket, with an infant on the blanket. I'm just concerned if they don't have food and money and place to live about this child.
Your heart kind of aches for these children.
Very much so. Very much so.
Kate Greer works for the Tennessee Department of Children's Services. She says while this would warrant a response, more would be needed for a DCS investigation.
In itself, poverty, needing money, wanting money in that manner is not necessarily abuse or neglect, nor is it against the law. We look at things like, are they being harmed? Are they being neglected? Are they supposed to be in school?
When DCS does respond to these cases, they say their goal is to offer help.
Do you guys need help with housing, help with food, help with anything, so that we know how to better help you? This will not happen again, because if it does, then it's going to be a problem.
But what if it does happen again? Metro Police say officers could take action under a Tennessee code that makes it illegal to block a public road.
We have to make sure she's okay. You guys are adults. She's a baby.
We asked Nashville police how often they arrested people under that Tennessee code. They said between 2023 and 24, at least 157 times. They did not specify whether any of the arrests involved panhandling with small children.
Still ahead, a volunteer turns her grief into purpose.
My husband had just passed away. I had time to kill, so I started.
Spending hundreds of hours ensuring no family goes hungry.
But first, magnetic fields are used to treat a mental health condition.
The word is spreading on it, and I think it's spreading because it's game-changing.
Meet a patient who says it helped her find peace without any side effects.
Our in-depth coverage continues. You can get connected to Investigate TV Plus on all social media platforms. When it comes to treating depression, doctors say therapy and medication are usually the first steps, but sometimes neither help a patient.
That was the case for a woman in Portland, Oregon, until she says she discovered a non-invasive treatment that uses magnetic fields to influence her brain's activity.
Reporter Nora Hart explains how the option can help patients break a frustrating cycle.
Being a theater person, I had actually never been to a Broadway show.
If you want to see Ann Dunlop light up with excitement, just talk about theater.
I mean, I have a waitress tattoo.
So, as you can imagine, a trip to New York City to see her favorite show was a dream come true.
After that show, just all that emotion I'd been holding on forever. I stood outside the theater and I just wept.
All of those things she was holding on to, past trauma and loss, had culminated into full-blown depression.
I didn't really have mental health problems, I thought, until we went through infertility and some failed adoptions. That was when I first went on antidepressants.
Ann recalls when she was struggling through her lowest low.
I just tanked and couldn't have anything on my calendar. That was probably the biggest thing that was weird for me because I'm very, very active and was very involved in a lot of things. And I just shut my door and was on my couch. And I did have one night where I had sleeping pills in my hand and I didn't want to die. I just wanted to go to sleep for a very long time.
even with the help of a therapist and medication, Anne still felt stuck.
Like I knew what to do, but I just couldn't do it.
That's when her doctor suggested a treatment called transcranial magnetic stimulation, or TMS for short.
I'll try anything at this point.
Anne worked with Dr. Preetham Raj at Active Path Mental Health Clinic in Clackamas for her TMS treatment.
What we do is create an electrical current. We are actually taking that energy and transferring it from our machine into the brain directly.
Doctors use coils on a headpiece to target the area of the brain associated with depression and other mental health conditions.
Different areas of the brain control different mood states, anxiety states, and obsessive states.
TMS is a little-known treatment for depression, though it's not new technology. In fact, it was approved by the FDA back in 2008. It differs from the better-known electroshock therapy in that it does not involve a controlled seizure, and it doesn't require sedation, and is considered non-invasive.
Patients drive in, get treated, and drive right out. No downtime.
Patients get very acquainted with this room, spending 5 days a week, 6 to 7 weeks, 20 minutes at a time per treatment in this chair.
There it is.
Okay, for those of you wondering what this feels like, it felt just like a little tap on my head, like with a finger, really, really light. The treatment boasts little to no side effects other than possible discomfort on the scalp due to the repeated tapping sensation. Most insurance companies cover TMS for treatment-resistant depression, or patients can bypass insurance altogether and pay out of pocket, with the cost starting at around $6,900 for the entire course of treatment.
The word is spreading on it, and I think it's spreading because it's game-changing.
It's been a couple of years since Anne completed her second round of TMS, and she says she's pleased with the results.
Our world is hard, but I can have hope and I can love others and make a difference in the world around me. And I can do that because I'm not fighting my mental health as much anymore.
Doctors say TMS is suitable for many patients with mild or moderate depression when therapy and medication hasn't worked.
TMS is also approved by the FDA to treat 3 other mental health and brain-related conditions, including obsessive compulsive disorder, migraines, and to help people stop smoking when standard treatments haven't worked. Research continues into other potential uses for TMS, including treating veterans diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder.
When comparing TMS to electroshock therapy, also known as electroconvulsive therapy, the Cleveland Clinic explains both treatments involve brain stimulation, but ECT is typically seen as a last option for severe mental health conditions. And despite negative portrayals in movies or on TV, the clinic says research shows ECT is safe and effective.
Up next, what started as a way to pass time became a mission to fill empty shelves.
People need this food.
How one volunteer has put in thousands of hours to help feed thousands of people in Alaska.
Millions of Americans are food insecure, and the solution isn't straightforward.
But every day, people donate their time to help feed those in need. They grow produce on unused church land.
And you'll see a lot of squash, a lot of edible pumpkins. You still got peppers and you still got okra growing.
I like to double bag.
Run free food pantries and stock lockers for weekend pickups.
And then we shut that door. We are a handout to a lot of people, but we also, our main focus is to be a hand up to people.
Or cook meals in a community kitchen for homeless shelters and after-school programs. The Census Bureau reports the number of people formally volunteering is rebounding to pre-pandemic levels. And in 2023, volunteers averaged about 70 hours of service. While every little bit of compassion helps, few have dedicated as much time as one food bank volunteer in Alaska.
Reporter Ariane Aramburo shows us how a personal loss inspired a purpose that's making a lasting impact.
It can all just be pretty normal stuff, but it's all needed.
Inside the Food Bank of Alaska, the work never stops. And neither does volunteer Karen Burnett.
Oh yeah. It's exciting because we know we're going to be busy.
Most days you'll find her here in the sorting room.
This is my spot.
Whether it's milk, applesauce or prepackaged protein.
This is going to be wonderful.
Every item,
these are going to be so popular,
has its place.
I mean, look at the size of these apple juices. That wouldn't get too far for a family, but they're just right for a kid.
Burnett started volunteering at the food bank 4 years ago.
I had a friend who had talked to me about it, and it just sounded like a good thing to be out doing. You know, my husband had just passed away. I had time to kill, so I started, but it got to be so fun. I spent more and more time here.
She logs about 600 hours a year.
If you're looking at counting steps, this is it.
And has seen firsthand how the need has grown.
Oh, they need everything. They need everything.
Especially in the last few years as more families struggle to put food on the table.
I mean, if you took a look at the pantry and saw those empty shelves, it's hard sometimes when, you know, people are coming in and looking for something for their clients, and there's absolutely nothing in there.
Karen's dedicated thousands of hours, but says the impact of her work goes far beyond numbers. And every day she's here volunteering, it brings a new reward.
I just feel real involvement in a way that is appreciated. You know, people need this food. They need people to put it out for them.
As long as there are people in need and boxes to unpack.
These are so nice.
Burnett will be here quietly, giving her time to those that need it most.
I have to start another cart here.
You know, the world needs volunteers like that, and she is doing it. It's a great cause.
Yeah, and she just loves what she's doing, and that's the part that really gets to your heart, is that she loves helping people.
She does. Yeah. Very nice. All right, that's it for us at Investigate TV Plus. I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Tisha Powell. Thanks for watching. On the next Investigate TV Plus, delayed justice for survivors of sex assaults from a backlog of thousands of untested rape kits across the country.
To have it just sit there while you're desperately waiting for answers is incredibly frustrating.
We take an in-depth look at what's behind the delays and the changes one city made to clear more unsolved cases.